Tabletop Stimulator. With your hosts,
Dan
and
Jim.
And me, Herr Sean Spieler. New podcast. We haven't done this for months.
We probably lost all of our fans.
That was the last one. Yeah.
Fan.
All.
Yeah, E-Man. Well, he might not even be alive now. He's in Brazil, isn't he?
He is alive.
Things could have happened. Really?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bot. He maybe set up a bot.
He hasn't messaged me in ages.
Is he not?
No.
He's
Dom listens to us whilst he's working and driving and stuff.
Scott
And writing
listens
notes
to us.
down.
Writing
And
notes
speaks to
down.
people on the phone.
Yeah.
And listening to us.
Yeah.
Scott listens to us.
I reckon he pauses us when he's talking to people on the phone, or
Okay.
it overwrites it because it's probably on the same phone that he's listening to. So it'll just, it just stops play.
I like to think that when he's listening to it, he goes to send people a voice message and he just takes a snapshot of the podcast and just sends them that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nyron listens because he's waiting for the free water bottle giveaway.
Oh, actually, talking about water bottles, Nyron asked me to publicly apologise for mocking him for his water bottle because I now have a water bottle, but I'm not going to apologise.
No, why would you apologise?
No.
You shouldn't.
Because now we judge water bottles by whether or not it's a Nyron-sized water bottle.
It's actually
It is
almost identical, but mine's better.
It's from the same factory in China.
It's the shell is the same, but mine's got a superior lid and mouthpiece, and my carrying handle's better.
Okay.
And also mine's a better colour.
Yours has two carrying handles.
This plastic one's for carrying it like that, and I think this one is to help you support the weight of it when it's full when you're trying to drink.
Okay.
But I haven't used either of them whilst I'm trying to drink. I just hold it with my hand and put it to my mouth.
Well, maybe if you had smaller hands, you'd need to use
Yeah,
those.
if I was a child,
Yeah.
I'd probably need to use two hands.
How big are Nyron's hands?
They're quite small, I think.
He has got quite small hands.
He's got big feet but small hands.
Trumpy hands.
So
he's got-
we probably don't need to follow that any further. Yeah. So we should probably, after all that, do an intro, shouldn't we?
Go on then.
Welcome back to Tabletop Stimulator.
Ater.
He ate her with some kidney beans.
Wheels on. So what have we been up to? We've been busy. That's why we've not recorded.
We've had a lot, actually, between us all, there's been one thing after another, hasn't there? Yeah, because we were going to record like nearly a month ago, weren't we? And then I decided to get ill, so.
Yeah.
But I actually physically had no voice the day that we were going to record. I sounded like this.
God, seagulls are really loud today.
They're
always that loud.
The whole podcast, we're just going to hear seagulls. If you have a seagull phobia, then this isn't going to be the episode for you.
If you have a seagull phobia, we definitely don't have any seagulls at the Games Bunker. You're safe to come here and spend your money and play games.
It's just a music track, a relaxing track that Jim has played in the store.
Large sky rats.
Ornithophobia is called.
Is that specifically seagulls?
No,
or
it's just all
birds?
birds.
I would imagine it would be called gullophobia. Anyhow, right. Oh yeah, so what have we been up to? Is that what you were asking?
I was wondering, what have we been up to? What have you been doing, Dan?
What have we doing?
Since
Hobby-wise, yeah?
Sure.
Boys, I've been building model aircraft. I'm currently having a break, which I tend to do in the summer, of any sort of modelling activity at all, or building. Played Bolt Action quite a few times.
Been playing any board games?
Oh yeah, Catan.
Yeah.
Been teaching that to the 10-year-old. She's actually scarily good at it, which is frustrating, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Have you been playing any new board games, Jim?
I think we talked about it in the last episode, but we played a bit of Pandemic.
Yes, we've
Legacy,
been playing that.
me and you, and we didn't invite Dan.
No.
Because he can't do Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I can do Wednesdays, just didn't ask.
You can't
we
do
didn't
Wednesdays
invite
now.
Okay, we just didn't invite Dan then.
Yeah, sorry.
Actually,
we were going to invite Dan, and then it was like, should we invite Dan? And it was like, oh.
We spent ages thinking about the fourth.
You know what? His health is so unreliable that can he commit to a year? Is he going to still be around?
I can barely commit to
he
a
is
week.
a bit of a pain when you play board games with him as well. He can be quite frustrating because he'll mess it up for everyone.
I'm quite simple. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't think he's got. I mean, it's quite a difficult game. I think we played a game. One of the games we played this week, I had one turn.
Yeah, and then we lost.
So yeah.
Why don't we sort out? We'll bring Dan in. Legacy Connect 4.
Connect 4. Yeah, have you heard about the expansion?
Can we do Connect 3, please?
Connect 5.
I've just learnt how to play noughts and crosses, which I'm quite happy with.
Yeah.
And you're getting smashed at Catan by a 10-year-old.
The Americans call noughts and crosses tic-tac-toe.
Yes, they do, yeah.
We should do a occasional board games night as a podcast thing. Not, I don't mean record it. I mean like
We could just play different ones and review them, couldn't we?
We could. It's just
that's a lot of effort, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also just
So
getting
what else could Sean edit?
Getting the items.
Oh, like new games.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to probably get more than 5 followers for that, wouldn't we? And then they might send us stuff early.
Yeah.
But yes, I would like to do more game, not like board game or 40k streaming stuff. Really, I'd like to do, because at least with those, you can just sort of stream a game as long as your audio is okay. If you don't, people will watch a 3-hour game. You can just publish it, but it's just having the setup because you need to have at least 2 cameras.
Well, I was just showing Dan the studio, which has been under construction for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Since
I don't even mention it anymore. You mentioned it to me like 3 years ago.
So probably there's been a change for me here, which probably is quite relevant to the conversation. So
You've got a gimp.
I've got a pet. Yeah, no. Will's come in as a business partner.
That's because he really loves
He loves the beep. Yeah, he does, and he really, really likes Pepsi Max.
Yes.
So, and I sell it. So he said that was enough. The benefit of him being here is obviously massive. But one of those benefits is that I will actually be able to go. I'm going to leave you in charge of the shop.
You will
walk
actually.
upstairs.
I like that.
And that was terrible, Dan. Can you mute his mic again? Actually, can you mute my ears so I can't hear him? That's the bit that I
I'll
need.
just take him off now.
Yeah, there we go. Delete from podcast. Yeah, so
His mic's not plugged in. It's just a pretend one. It's like we used to give
Oh,
kids
is that
a
why it's
joystick.
it's orange on the end, so it's like a fake gun? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will. I'm aiming to get the studio up and running over the next couple of months. So it needs quite a bit of organising because it's a dumping ground at the moment. And then I need to look at. I was just saying to Dan whilst you were working. Put up, reorganise the room, put up some sound dampening curtains and get some sound dampening ceiling tiles put in and all that kind of stuff, just so that the seagulls don't interfere with what's going on. But obviously that studio then could be used we'd be able to record in it for our podcast, which would be great. And obviously the setup would be potentially a bit more easy to use. And then, live streams, make videos and stuff like that. Because it's got an 8-foot table in it. It's higher than the normal tables we play on. So it's better for standing at, but also if we get some nice bar stools or something, be good for that sort of stuff. Obviously, I've got a camera, but I mean it's quite old, 6 or 7 years old. It's probably all right for most stuff.
It'll be fine.
But
1080p is good enough, right?
Yeah,
we could look at.
You don't want to go higher than that anyway.
No, but we could look at long term what the plan would be for upgrading all the tech. So
Well, I mean, you should just start off with something like that and then see how the audience builds. Because you've got there's one guy who's got he's got maybe 100,000 subscribers. I think Striking Scorpion.
Well,
and he still does it just on a mobile phone.
I know, I can't stand it. I really can't stand all that.
I don't
'cause
like that.
It moves all around too much, but I get it. Yeah, I mean, the content's good.
Yeah.
I just don't like the.
No, I prefer the one
Who else
standard
does that?
camera.
That Gorilla Miniatures,
Yeah.
Gorilla guy, the Canadian guy, Ash. He does battle reports. He talks really fast. It started with a battle report on X-Wing or whatever he says.
Okay.
He does that. Really cool guy though, but gets his rules wrong quite a
The
lot.
Logitech C902 is a 1080p webcam, I think, which is perfectly fine. So a lot of people still use that.
So I've got a Canon something. Can't remember what it is. You've got a fairly decent camera.
My camera's okay. I would use the setup I preferred when we did it before was your camera and my phone.
Oh yeah. Because we were
then-
filming the dice tray and stuff, weren't we?
Yeah. So if we had,
I forgot that back. Yeah, there's
we
check
could have
out check out the bolt action battle report we did.
We'll have to do a new one now. Within 2 months. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's future plans then. That's good.
So that'll be not yet.
No.
Probably after
months.
maybe
2
by the
months.
time we've done our next recording, if this year's anything to go by.
The twice-a-year gaming podcast.
Tabletop, nothing gets stimulated because we don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no stimulation.
On the next episode, 75th edition of Warhammer.
That's what I've got that going on. Long term, the other benefits of Will being here, well, actually short term really, is because we're both going to be here full time to start with. We're going to have a lot more interaction with the community. So we're going to be pushing more variation in boot camps, but one of us will be the spare player, but also like a rules person and stuff. So there's always so people should always get a game, but obviously we'll also be interacting with the community more. Encouraging games and stuff like that. So there's quite a lot of games that people keep picking up and then doesn't get played that much. And I think it's just down to the fact that there aren't people playing it, if you know what I mean.
So you can sort of just stimulate that.
And just get more, and then
available.
Stimulate it. Yeah.
But community buy-in's been important, right? Because you did the Blood Bowl and that went really well.
The Sevens was really popular. There was 18 players in the end, I think.
And it ran relatively smoothly, coalesced quite well, and I think
there
most
was
people
one
enjoyed
game
it.
that didn't get played, but that was only because the finals happened and
they weren't going to win, so they checked out.
No, Ash was just like, look, you guys don't have to play if you don't want to, because they couldn't get the game in before the finals. He said, look, there's no pressure for you, because one of them was quite busy with work, and so that there was like, it was fine. No one was upset or anything, as far as I know. If they did, they cried at home to themselves. And then we're like, me and you have been talking quite a lot about Necromunda. We've got the new Necromunda coming out.
There's new box sets.
So the Sigmar
New edition, right?
Yeah, new edition.
Yeah.
There is more availability of this product than there was of Leviathan. And to me, I don't think that reflects that they've made more of them. I just think that a lot of their trader cants only focus on 40k.
Yeah.
Which is says a lot about people who are trying to scalp and all the rest of it, I think. But the AOS box set is amazing, I think. It's got really nice models in it. Unfortunately, it's got Stormcast, and the only reason I say that is because they're not as flexible as Space Marines. Like, you play Stormcast, it doesn't matter what colour you paint them, they're Stormcast. Okay, there's slightly different rules layers. But with Space Marines, they could be obviously universal in the way that Stormcast are, where you could just paint them different colours. But obviously, you've then got Blood Angels, Space Wolves, Dark Angels, Death Watch, and you can kit bash them into Chaos Marines and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say there's a lot more flexibility with Space Marines. So it's a shame that they didn't just put in another new resculpt faction, which would have been a bit better. So you've got Skaven in there, and the Skaven models are lovely. Stormcast, and then you get obviously the rules like you normally would, but they're chucked in like they did with Leviathan, all the tournament stuff and all of the campaign narrative stuff all comes in the box.
Okay.
Or most of it does anyway, as far as I've watched. And you get a bit of terrain in there as well, which is nowhere near enough to fill a table, but it's quite cool. I think it's nice. So it's a better value box than Leviathan, in my opinion. But obviously, Age of Sigmar, as much as it's a very similar game to 40k, it's not as popular. But the new edition looks like it's going to have all of, or not all, but a lot of the good aspects that have come into 10th edition of 40k. So the way that you control objectives and stuff like that is very similar. And yeah, a complete refresh of all of the battle tomes are going out, indexes are coming in, sort of thing.
Okay.
So it is like a massive overhaul. And I think that's a really good time. If you are interested in the game, it's a really good time to start it, because everyone's going to be on the same level. They're doing this Spearhead thing, which is the equivalent of Combat Patrols. I don't know why they rebranded it to Spearhead from Vanguard, but they did. Basically the same. But if it's like Leviathan, then the two factions you get in the box, the spearheads for those factions will be some of those models. Yeah. So, yeah. But, I mean, we found here that Combat Patrol was popular for about a month.
Yeah,
and then it's too simple, isn't it?
It was and it was just too rigid. And it was...
Yeah, there's no flexibility.
Yeah, and it was... also, the balance of it wasn't there.
No, it wasn't really.
It was like, oh, this is entertaining for this one introductory battle, but, you know, you had, like, the Combat Patrol for Custodes. Versus, you know, the Combat Patrol for most other factions was just Custodes are winning that.
Because you played on a smaller board, didn't you?
You played on a smaller board. They never had any. They took all the vehicles out the start collecting boxes.
I think with the Custodes you couldn't use the bikes as well as the Terminators or whatever was in that box. But obviously they've got a new box now anyway, haven't they?
Yeah,
So.
but the Terminators were colossal anyway.
It's a shame, really, because it looked, when they talked about that whole new combat patrol thing, that it would be a really good skirmish game for you to pick up, play, and like, if they kept releasing scenarios and stuff for it, it would have been.
Yeah, I mean,
fun.
I'd agree with a lot of
Because I was quite looking forward to that.
a lot of the side stuff just doesn't get the support. Like the Crusade. Crusade's a good example. I know that they put out random stuff in White Dwarfs and stuff, but it's normally just like one mission pack or something like that.
Yeah.
But it just kind of feels like it comes out, they go, here's a rule set. It's not actually very balanced. The first one especially wasn't particularly balanced because monsters and vehicles just kicked ass.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't really do anything with it for a year. And it's like,
Well, and also they're not community focused, so the community aren't going to create stuff because chances are they'll just get a slap on the wrist for doing it, right?
yeah. And like their app's really good, but they could support a lot of their games better with more app type stuff. So like we've talked about it like with Necromunda and Blood Bowl and all of those kind of things. But I don't understand why you can't track Crusades through their app as well.
Yeah.
I know that it's more work to program it all. It's obviously more work, but if you've got to subscribe to get it, surely then
You could build in the randomization stuff, right? So like at the end when you've got to choose perks or the things that you're going to knock you down because you've got battle wounds and stuff, you just think, yeah, they could randomize it in there and it would tell you, as opposed to having to be all sat round with a book open, roll a dice to go, you've got that thing wrong with you.
But also you could like share it as well. And you could be like, oh, this is my list and look at all the injuries and look at these battles it's done and look at this and look at that. But there's no... Because it's all on paper.
It would be cool to be able to get to the end of a campaign and you retire that army and then literally have a squad by squad breakdown of what they achieved.
Yeah, games played and
what battles they did well in, when they didn't.
Kind of like after a sports ball thing where they have like, oh, this is a percentage of ball held and all that sort of stuff.
It's stuff that they put on the Crusade form for you to fill in.
Yeah, but the only way you can share that with someone is if you show it to them, and most people can't be bothered.
But it'd be good.
But when it's online stats, people love it.
Yeah.
Because you could publish it, or you could just be like, this is what this army did.
But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to do it. Not in the near future. Maybe when they move away from books, that's when they'll start doing stuff like that. But I think their worry about moving away from books is that they'll lose players because they don't want to have the technology.
Subscription model, though, as it's been proved by other areas, is the way forward.
The cards are a good idea rather than the books, but I can understand that you're going to, obviously, like you said, you're going to have some people that don't want the technology, but you're going to have people that are like, oh, everything, they don't do a book now, everything's on my phone died, I can't access any of my stats.
Yeah, exactly.
You're at a tournament for a weekend.
Yeah, you need to take a power bank with you or whatever.
Yeah. So
no, I do get
the
that.
index card, the data cards, I think that they're great.
They're great.
It's just, I think that the challenges at the moment is that they keep releasing stuff that obviously hasn't been very well play tested, and then they make changes, and then you've got to write on the card.
But also, those cards are only available for a short time. Like you can't buy Space Marines, Tyranids.
You can't even buy them anymore.
No, you can't buy them.
But that's ridiculous. Right.
It's like I want to. So obviously they've just brought out the Genestealer Codex. I bought the Codex. I really want to get the cards, but I know they're going to change things on them already because the Codex has gone down like a lead balloon. So they're going to make... It's the same with like the AdMech one. You knew they were going to make changes to it. So I know those cards aren't going to be valid.
But surely when they're game testing this stuff, with the newer stuff...
Well, you lost us at game testing.
But I mean, it's frustrating because...
They're still... The problem they've got is because they still have the publishing model. When they're writing the book, it's based on data at that point.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that book was written, let's be generous and say 6 months ago, but probably longer. The faction the whole game was in a different place 6 months ago.
Well, the game. So if it was written, when AdMech came out 6 months before that, I don't think 10th edition had dropped.
No.
So they only had playtesting to go by, which was super secret because obviously the edition wasn't out yet. And there's been no points changes. There might not have even been points actually. It might have been, here's the units, what do you think? And then they go, well, this is really powerful, this is strong, and they point it based off of that. I don't know how they do it. I presume it's something. They're not going to just go, we've decided it's this many points before the playtesters have even looked at it, because surely you need to play it to figure out whether it's
Surely
good.
they must have a look at on their side a tier list, right? Of take Space Marines, for example, right?
But their sample size is really small. They're playing testing with a really small group.
Even if they've got 100,
tournament, and then they say, okay, over this tournament, this faction played 50 games. 10 people played 5 games each at that tournament. And then we wait a few months, and then we've got a nice sample size. But yeah, at the moment they obviously, they're working with out-of-date information.
If you're generous and say that there's 100 playtesters, which I don't think there are.
No.
There's probably less.
Well,
but if you're I would imagine it's maybe 20 or something like that around the world. But if you're generous to say there's 100, there's more people at a GT level big tournament playing the game in one weekend.
And
there might be. And every month around the world, there might be a dozen GT level tournaments. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So you're looking at more information in a month than the playtesters could ever do, and that information is relevant to the meta at the time. So it's relevant to the balanced data slates they've done, the points changes, and all the rest. So whenever you bring out a book, it always needs to wait until the next balanced data slate before you figure out whether it's any good. Anyway.
So
probably move away from 40k rants. Yeah.
I was just looking up the because they've announced they start doing the Combat Patrol magazine.
Are they doing a Combat Patrol magazine?
Oh yeah. So
is that like a slow? Did you collect different Combat Patrols over
90 issues, and it's like all the Combat Patrols, but it's the 9th edition Combat Patrols, not the new one.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
But I guess that's probably just what they've got, like the stock specs.
Yeah, but none of the product in the Combat Patrols are unique stock, are they?
No.
Except for maybe the Marine one, which was the Vanguard stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's it's weird that they're doing it that way. With a few extra units.
They clearly do.
But
how many? They do well with their magazines. But how many of them are being bought by people who don't need it but can't help themselves?
Yeah.
This is one of the arguments I've seen about people with neurodivergencies. Then it feels like it's not a safe space for them to do it. Like in gambling, there's lots of things support. I know it sounds really strange, but it's almost loot boxy a little bit. So the way they do it, because I've got to have it because it completes the set.
Yeah.
And some people can't not do that.
Yeah, I'm really terrible for it, but I've not done any of the magazine stuff.
The magazine stuff is, unless you're subscribed to it, it's a nightmare because it's scalpers all over the place.
Yeah.
Because some of the
books were the same, weren't they?
Some of the issues are such great value.
Oh yeah, like a Repulsor for 16 quid because it's over 2 editions or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. That's cheaper than trade price.
Yeah, I mean when Indomitus came out, you got one issue had the whole 5 flavors.
So they did one issue with the Blade Guard Ancient, and the Eradicators all on it. And I think did you have the just Judicar on that, Judicia? That was all on one sprue. Maybe even the Chaplain.
But
as well.
They had the one issue
and they were
with
selling
the whole Necron.
Yeah,
Royal Cult.
Yeah, and both of those sprues were being sold for like 80 quid on their website.
Yeah,
and then it's like, here you go, you can have £8 with this. It's like, so after I've said, they don't do discounts on anything, those magazines are the only way you do it. So I don't understand how that works.
Well, because I've seen like a price breakdown, but they go obviously by GW retail price, and they kind of pad it out because they're working on people subscribing rather than buying individual issues, because it's difficult to buy individual issues to find where it's stocked. But so when you're subscribing, they pad it out with look, every 5th edition it's 2 paints.
But
like that.
The other thing is, though, are we looking at this the wrong way round? Do Games Workshop sell all of that product to Hatchet, or whatever the company's called that do it? And then Hatchet don't care which issues sell as long as they sell enough issues to cover the cost?
Yeah.
So that's why you get this imbalance in the cost, because Games Workshop aren't selling them. They're not going, this magazine's going to cost you this much. They're going, here's all the product. We've agreed you're going to give us $1 million or whatever for I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
$500,000 for all this product or whatever it is, and then Hatchet are like, cool, we have to sell this many magazines to make that money back,
which they'll sell.
Exactly. So obviously they're GW are clearing, in general, old product. It's not stuff that's new. It's stuff that's been out for a few years. Like, obviously, I think you could get Guilliman in the last one they did, but Guilliman had been out. Guilliman had been out since 7th edition, so he's not a new kit.
No.
As far as Games Workshop's concerned, they've made their money on it.
There was very little that was new kit. The flayers were new.
Yeah.
And
also with no boxes and stuff, the overhead's low on it as well, right? Because it's
they're not doing any of the
like the
packaging
plastic
or anything
literally
like that.
costs them nothing.
They're literally shipping sprues to someone's warehouse, and then that company then do all their bit.
the thing I like about it is it just reminds me of the old that stuff that used to come out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, that first edition, £2
Yes.
comes with
The rest of it, £974. Yeah.
comes with half the train.
Yes.
I was awful with the first magazine they did, and then the first Age of Sigmar one they did. I think it was Mortal Realms.
Oh yeah.
Because it came with like I didn't care about the sprues. It came with a load of minis, but it came with 3 pots of paint, and it was like £2. So I bought them, and then I put all the paint on my paint rack. So I went out and bought. Oh, how many have you got? You got 8 left. I'll take all those, and then I just sold the paints, and it's like cool. You know, I've spent like a tenner or whatever, 15 quid, whatever it was. That's not even 8 times 2, is it? That's 16.
So the first issue comes with the Winged Tyranid Prime.
Oh god.
And the Captain Terminator armor,
Okay.
and it is £2.99.
So that's what, 20 quid?
So on the actual retail,
closer to 50, yeah.
on the retail price, it's £49.99.
You can't get the Winged Prime by yourself, can you? You can't get either of those models.
Yeah, so they're basing it off like similar models. So it's a 94% saving on issue 1.
I would say...
So if you don't subscribe, you're not going to walk into your local news agency and be able to pick that up.
I would say those prices aren't really relevant because both of those models come in the starter boxes, which are also quite reasonably priced.
Yeah.
So I would say you're maybe getting 20 to 30 quid's worth of models, somewhere in like that.
So how many
price
combat
range.
patrols are you supposed to be able to build over the...
Over the whole thing, you can build all of them.
So every single combat
So there is...
So like 15 or something like that.
Well, no, because it's not. I don't think it's like all of the sub. So it's Space Marine, Minotaurum, Chaos Space Marines, World Eaters, Tyranids, Votan, Orcs, Eldari, Genestealer Cults. Oh, it's not like Dark.
So if they're doing 2
is that 9,
models
was
in that first one, how many magazines are you thinking?
Did you say it was
what's the actual retail price for the magazine?
It's $6.99, and there's 90 issues. So conveniently, this thing it's done a breakdown on that side of things as well. So going by retail price, you spend 900 quid, and the total value by retail price is £1,142. So you save 21%, but that's retail price.
Is that because you get paints and stuff with it as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, they don't count the paints, but then they also don't count that you also pay for... They'll send you like binders and then charge you extra for them.
Yeah.
Oh, the premium version, yeah?
No, not even the premium.
Okay.
Just because every quarter they'll send you like a folder to put them in.
So we're talking previous edition. So this deal was probably made a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And if you look at the combat patrol prices at the time, they were £85 retail. And you're saying, was it 9 or 10 you get?
9.
£765 to buy all those at full price. So let's say you could get them at 15% off somewhere.
Oh, well, I think...
£650 and 25 pence.
What they're including is that you get the combat patrol and like an extra 1 or 2 models.
Yeah.
Which you can't use.
So it's only good value if you are buying them at full retail at today's prices.
And also,
it's not good value for when you could have bought them.
That was
So,
700 quid.
yeah.
You said it's 1,100 quid, right? And they chuck in the paints, but although they've not broken down on there.
You might get some terrain and stuff as well, probably. Yeah.
Realistically, you're not going to spend 300 quid on paints to paint your combat patrols, are you?
Well, realistically, you're not going to buy 9 combat patrols, right?
Yeah, but you are, because it's a monthly magazine, so you feel like you're getting a deal.
If you were going to get it, then
I bet you don't even get 1 combat patrol at a time. I bet you get a little bit of this one, a little bit of that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
So you can't even play combat patrol until you've collected all of...
You probably have to have done 6 months to be able to get a combat patrol together.
Yeah.
I personally...
And then what about the
think
rules?
that
Are the rules
it's
in the
going to do
magazine?
really well, but also you're a muppet if you could do it. Did you say you're doing it?
Do you know what it might be?
No, sorry.
It'll be pick it up because I could do with one of those in my actual 40.
Yeah. I like if Right.
It's about 35 paints you get as well.
Yeah, but I still just, do you know
And what
what?
are paints? What's the retail on paint?
Retail for standard pots is 275. Contrast and shades is 475 retail. And the technical ones are, not technical. The metallics that are white lids and one other metallic, which doesn't have a white lid for some reason, are £3.80
So what we said,
or something
probably
like that.
100 quid over a paint, 35.
Yeah, again at full retail.
If there's a mix. And then obviously you're not going to, in most of your friendly local game stores.
Yeah, I think what made the previous ones better is that you knew you were getting ridiculous stuff for cheap, but you're not because you're subscribing to something over a long period of time.
Exactly.
All right, so just not.
Which is
we're
what I
not
don't
going to
get.
go into every one,
Yeah.
right? But I'll say. Well,
How many brushes do you get? How many brushes, Sean?
You'll get like 2. I'll say Space Marines because you know Space Marines.
Right.
Right. So in the Space Marine box, you're getting Terminator Captain, Terminator Librarian, 5 Terminators, 5 Infernus Marines, and a Primaris Chaplain on bike.
Love that
That's
model.
weird.
Love that model. by the way.
So that's actually mostly the latest edition. So yeah, okay.
But then for
What's the Tyranid one?
let's have a look. So Tyranid Prime, Psychophage.
Yeah, so this is all new stuff.
Well, maybe it's the Leviathan stuff.
Yeah.
And then
But it's
different
all
combat
the stuff that you
Bond-
get in their two-player starter box.
Yeah. Okay. So so the difference on the Tyranid, so it's the Prime, the Psychophage, the Leapers, Barbagalts, Termagants. That's all standard stuff. And then the extra is the Parasite Mortrax.
Okay.
Can they all be bought individually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No?
No, I don't think the Prime can.
Okay.
You have to buy the.
You have to buy
so
the thing.
if you bought the middle starter set, you would get all of those models apart from the Chaplain on the bike and the Psychophage, I think. And then, so you'd buy those separately, but you'd still spend less than you would do to buy 2 combat patrols to do that. So, okay, we're knocking a bit more off of the value. I just feel like it's a bit of a weird one. It would actually be really good for like a.
And do you know why I find it a bit weird as well?
It's because it's going to take you like 2 years to do it as well.
And what I find weird is
Because what is it, 2 a month?
that is perfect what they've done, right? As a subscription model that will make people keep coming back to buy that to build it all.
You're going to end up going and buying stuff to be able to play the game.
What I
Because
don't
it's going to
understand
take you
is
too long to get it.
They totally understand how subscription models work, yet they won't apply that to their books and the rules and all that stuff.
No. They don't understand how the subscription model works. Another company
Oh, the
does,
publishers
and they're
do,
selling
yeah.
it to
Okay,
that
fair
company.
enough, yeah. They're selling the rights to do
But
it.
surely they've got, nearly 10 years worth of these magazines that they've been doing now?
Yeah.
I mean, they used to do the Middle Earth one years ago.
mean,
That
they
was
could-
always a bargain.
They could have done
was
it
like
themselves
5-6
with White
quid for a
Dwarf.
load of Lord of the Rings models.
How much is like the Votan Combat Patrol? It's like
The new one.
the.
So all of their
Well,
combat
they've only
patrols.
brought out one, haven't they?
Okay, so all of their combat patrols in the price hike went up to 100. But they were 95, but then a year ago they were only 90, I think. So they're slowly creeping up.
So the Votan Combat Patrol is the standard combat patrol because that's the only one they've done so far
Yeah,
since
yeah.
it came out. Plus the Squad of Hearthguard, which is like 30 quid.
Are they the Terminator guys?
Yeah.
Aren't they in that box?
No,
You sure?
yeah, you get the Berserkers in the box.
You sure they haven't done 2 combat patrols for them?
No, they did Boarding Patrol.
I thought that was the point with Combat Patrol where it was like a fixed
Yeah, I think you're right.
army because it was easier to manage.
So yeah, each of these just has whatever that.
I just
kit
thought they
is
came out in 9th
and an
edition.
additional thing.
Oh, they haven't done a 10th edition codex though, so I'm being
No, they've
stupid.
not done that.
Sorry.
Because the new Combat Patrols come with the new, when their codex drops, right?
So yeah, it just
Yeah,
seems a
they'll
bit-
come out with the codex or just after it.
So even the value of that extra unit is a bit weird because it's like the World Eaters standard combat patrol because the new one hasn't come out, and a Forge Fiend.
Why are they giving you extra stuff if you're going to use it for combat patrol though?
Maybe the whole point is, again, like
Because
we said earlier
like
on.
we were saying, combat patrol doesn't
Yeah.
work.
No, or is it because you play
It
Combat
feeds
Patrol,
you
go, I really
into-
like that, and then
Oh,
you go,
now you can get more
I've got the
stuff.
extra model to then start building.
Well,
with the
I
chaos.
enjoy like saying, oh, I'm going to play combat patrol. This is a lot of fun, but I can't use this other model I got in combat patrol. So now I need to progress because also even with these extra models, they're all putting you at like a weird points value. That, you know, because combat patrol is typically about 500 points. Obviously, it varies depending on some factions. Whereas a lot of these extra models will then put you into like the 600 or 700 point mark.
But yeah, this combat patrol thing, I don't really get what they're trying to achieve because you can't.
It's a gateway.
But it's not though.
magazine's a gateway.
It is. It is a gateway in that, like we were saying, you're going to have to go out and buy more stuff before you can do anything.
There'll be
because
people.
it's going to take you 2 years to get
not
through all
even
the
new
factions.
people, but you'll have people that play, and then they're like, they're completionists.
Yeah.
So they order this magazine because the magazine will sell out. And then and they'll be like, oh, I've now got the combat patrol for Eldari. I might as well buy some more Eldari. So you'll have people with more factions.
Like, I was thinking, this could be good for here because I could get those combat patrols for cheaper than normal. But now we've done the maths, it's like, I think it's cheaper to buy them at trade. Who's saying this? So there's 90 magazines. So that's
It's going to cost you about 950 quid.
So by the time you've got it all, they're going to be releasing the campaign books that lead up to the next edition.
Do you want the premium?
Oh yeah, what'd you get with premium?
So
let me get
extra £2 an issue.
Dice tray. A tape measure.
No, you get some more models.
Artificer paintbrush. You get more models.
Yeah.
Right. Is it for 4 factions?
No, you get.
You get more models
so
for every
each
faction.
quarter, you get for 2 factions, you'll get like additional bits. So like the first premium kit. So 3 months after you start subscribing, you'll get a Tyrannid edition and a Space Marine edition.
To tell you what they are.
Yeah, I've got them here.
Oh, go on then.
So the Tyrannid, you get a Hive Tyrant, and the Space Marine, you get a Brutalis Dreadnought. So that's cost you.
Did you say £2 more a month?
£2 more a month.
And you get them
Every-
after.
so
is that 3
4
months or is that 6 months worth? That's 3 months worth.
3 months worth, yeah.
Is it £2 more a month or £2 more an issue?
£2 more an issue, sorry.
Oh right, okay.
So £8 a month. So
yeah,
3
okay,
months
eight
it
and a
cost
bit, eight and a
you
bit pound.
£24.
Okay, that's not a bad saving, I suppose. Because both of those kits are around sort of 40 odd quid, aren't they? I think the Brutalis is probably slightly more than the Hive Tyrant. I think the Hive Tyrant has just gone up to 40, maybe 45. And the Brutalis is going to be around that as well, 45, 50.
So it's about 40. So it's about each of those premium kits kind of cost you 45 quid. So for 45,
So let's say you get 50% off.
so you're getting a Hive Tyrant and a Brutalis for 45 quid.
Yeah. So that actually brings the savings down, pushes the savings up if you do. So it's better value if you do the premium.
The second one,
But all it's doing is countering the fact that the other ones don't really save you any money.
yeah, the second one you get a Demon Prince and Howling Banshees.
Okay, Demon Prince is quite an expensive kit. Howling Banshees is not.
So I guess between the two of them, it kind of balances it out. The next one, you get the Thunderkin and Killer Cans. That's not
as good a saving.
No. And then the last one, you get the Brood Coven, which is only a few models, but quite an expensive kit.
Yeah, probably 35 quid, something like that.
And the Rogul Dawn Battle Tank.
Which is 60 odd quid, I think.
So the first one and last one are probably the best value.
Yeah, but if you balance them out, the savings is not quite as good. It's not bad, but you've got to think it's actually, there's another 4 weeks worth of payments, isn't there? But this isn't even over a year. This is over
the whole thing.
Over the
it's
whole
an extra 180
thing.
quid over the whole thing. So now it becomes, from £900, it goes to nearly 1,100.
Oh, right, okay. So my view overall is unless you're a collectophile and you want everything even though you don't need it, it's not really worth it. No. If it was twice as much stuff, maybe. But again, it's like, why would you need 9 different factions or however many it is? You don't, do you?
It's also quite a drop in discount from their previous one, the Space Marine.
Even though it's less
Necron
per month, less per issue, because I think the previous ones were like 8 quid or something, weren't they? And this is $6.99. Did you say?
Yeah, it was $7.99. But even with that, the saving was like 40% or something. It was quite a considerable amount. You got some really good stuff in there, and a lot of terrain as well. But that now.
But you could get, if you were,
so much less focused.
admittedly, it's still a subscription service for me, but say you're a Paladin level discount, you would be paying for 9 combat patrols £688.50, which is the same price. And you could have those whenever you want to buy one. And they'd be the up-to-date combat patrols. And you could buy the one that is, like, if you're competitive, you could buy the one that's good for that. Or, yeah, I don't know. And some of those combat patrols aren't worth as much because, like the Marine, like obviously, like we were saying about the Marine and the Tyrannid stuff. Most of that's just push fit. Even the Chaplain's a push fit kit. There's no real options you can't give them different weapons or different poses or anything like that.
No.
So yeah, it's pretty crap. You might as well edit most of that out. Basically, I'm not going to subscribe to it.
I don't think you would anyway.
So
I was surprised you hadn't even heard of it though.
I don't pay attention to a lot of stuff like that anymore because it's not really relevant. Like when they first started doing Imperium, I think was the first one. I can't remember I think it was. I was like, this is terrible for business. You know, it's going to ruin it and stuff. But just because it's like the stuff they were selling, it's like, well, that's undercutting me by a massive margin, and they're not offering it to me as a trader. I'd need to have like a newsagent account or whatever it is to be able to get all that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's like it's meaning like, you know, it's a shame that you can't buy it through Games Workshop. But actually, the amount of crap you get with all of the magazines, it's just like I'd rather not have a load of them sat on the shelf and not selling. Yeah.
So last time I went into Forbidden Planet, they had, I mean, it's been a while, but they had a whole like section, sort of like 4 of your like big shelves, and obviously like a magazine rack format, and it was just the loads of like the Age of Sigmar one, and some of the 40k one that didn't sell, that are just there and they've been there for months, and you know they don't discount them.
No, so and they probably can't return them or anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to change topic massively.
Go on.
Our last episode, we talked about Rebel Moon. So because I was ill, quite ill recently.
You watched Rebel Moon too?
No.
Oh, okay.
I know I was going to bring it up. I have watched a film that I said I wouldn't watch.
What's that?
Napoleon.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
Napoleon?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was a typical Ridley Scott mess.
Oh.
Visually, it was nice.
Yeah. How was Gaquan Phoenix?
He was terrible.
Oh.
He didn't seem like he wanted to be there.
Maybe he didn't.
No.
Maybe he was like, Napoleon didn't want to be there. So he's really got method.
I don't know. It's like, he just wasn't, I didn't feel like, felt like it was like, oh, he was good as the Emperor, so we'll make him Emperor again. And it's like, well, was he though? Was Gladiator, like looking back on Gladiator, it's like the fight scenes are quite cool. I mean, the fight scenes are quite cool in Napoleon, but I mean, historically, it's like, we know quite a lot about what happened.
Yeah.
And you just kind of feel like you skipped most of it. For some reason, they shoot the Great Pyramid with a cannonball.
What?
I haven't got a clue.
Did they do that?
Pretty sure that didn't happen.
Okay.
Pretty sure they didn't have a battle in front of the Great Pyramid.
So who were the French fighting in front of the pyramid?
So historically, Napoleon's in Egypt because he's become too popular in France and they want to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Kind of like Caesar going into Gaul. Very similar, actually. And he ends up coming home and taking over. There's a lot. Yeah. So obviously there's a bit more to it. But and they kind of get that right. But what they get wrong is just like all the details that make it true.
They get wrong all the details.
Yeah, I mean, most historical films are unfortunately a pile of crap. But yeah, Napoleon.
So...
I mean, like I said, it looks nice. I have no idea if the uniforms are accurate or not.
Yeah.
They should be because it's not hard to find out the information on them. But they're probably not because, you know, why would you bother doing research? But yeah, there you go. No, I haven't watched Rebel Moon Part 2. I don't intend to. I don't understand how...
You weren't sick enough for that.
I wasn't sick enough for that, no. And I don't, even though I had nothing to do for some of it because I couldn't really do anything apart from like sit in front of a TV or sleep. I don't understand. I still don't understand, like, who paid for that crap, Rebel Moon, and then they've done a second one. Apparently, they got funding for a third one, but maybe it's only like 5 minutes long, and that's how they could afford it.
It ain't gonna be 5 minutes. It's gonna be 4-hour epic.
Oh no, you can take the epic out. Yeah.
Epic in length, not quality.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's AOS out in July. There's Hail Caesar Epic Scale out in July. September's
more Hail Caesar.
Yeah, but it's epic scale.
It's tiny little.
Yeah, the models are great.
Are you going to be painting those?
I've been painting some Romans. Yeah.
Oh, you already been picking them up?
Yeah, they sent me a demo kit, which is like a half-size starter box, basically, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably less than that. But just enough that you can show the basics of what the models look like and the mechanics of the game. It's not enough to play a proper game with. But,
and they look good.
For the scale, yeah, I think they're pretty cool. I am hating painted gold trim.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gold trim.
Epic scale gold trim.
It's technically bronze, but you know.
Yeah.
Paint it gold because it's...
Stand out.
Yeah, clean it up. That's what it looks like. I'm not enjoying that. But the painting, aside from doing the gold trim, has been fine. It's just a lot of contrast and stuff.
Okay.
I really like epic scale stuff.
Did you like the Legion in Paradise?
Reflecting on it, yes.
Yeah.
I got quite frustrated during the game because obviously Will's not played it a lot anyway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't meant to be a competitive game or anything like that. But Will had a better grasp of the game because he's played it, and he was spanking me. I did end up winning,
Okay.
so I shouldn't complain.
Yeah.
But he kept just rolling sixes, and I was just like, and even worse, right?
Yeah.
He'd forgotten his dice, so I lent him one of my dice sets, and he was rolling better than me, and I was just like, but that's what happens when you lend someone your dice, isn't it? They roll really well with them, and I was just and I was like this, and I was like, I'm not happy with the way this works, and I'm not happy with this, and it's like looking back on it, it's like there's some mechanics that we didn't do quite right, or. I didn't understand. I was like, Will's like, Terminators and Jump Packers have the bulky rule, so they count as 2 models, and they can only go in large transports or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but there's actually 4 different types of transport.
Oh, okay.
Man. The rule set is awful.
Yeah.
It's good rules, but it's written like it was the 90s. Oh my God. So the command stand for the Space Marines is like basically a command squad. So it's got like 5 different special rules.
Yeah.
One of them is Medicae. When you go to Medicae, guess what it says? See, feel, no pain. So why have they not just got the feel, no pain rule? Why do they need to have Medicae? And there's so many rules like that. It's like, I get that you're trying to make it sound cool.
Yeah.
But I would prefer not to have to look through 15 different sections of the book to find out how a special rule works.
Yeah.
It's one of those games, and all of the specialist games are like that, really, or most of them. Not Warcry and those kind of ones, but Necromunda's the same.
Yeah.
Titanicus was the same. All of those kind of, and Old World is probably the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've not even looked at the rules on Old World.
I played so much fantasy years ago. The only way that I'll play Old World is if a brand new faction comes in with brand new sculpts. Yeah. Because I've done it all. And like, I'm not one that I don't get excited about old
reminiscing
models.
about
no, and like I've never cared about I had this really old Space Marine from the 80s. It's like I'll just get rid of it. Someone, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use it. Like I don't have any firstborn Marines in my Marine army. It's all Primaris because I like new models that look cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of the models, and I remember seeing them in, the shop window when I was a kid. Were they originally called Games Workshop?
And now they're Warhammer.
Warhammer, yeah. And I used to just go through there sometimes, even though I didn't play. And you'd see the old fantasy chaos knights on horses, and the skeleton horses and skeleton archers and stuff like that. So I see them, and I'm like, they were fun. I remember them. I wouldn't buy them. Because I see the stuff now and it looks amazing.
So there's a lot of people that I think are buying it because they couldn't buy it when they wanted it.
Was that something you used to see when you was a kid? Were you allowed out the house?
Did you look at Warhammer back then?
No, I didn't.
No,
that wouldn't have been allowed in the Ace.
Did you bully the kids that did look at Warhammer?
No.
Don't forget, he's that little bit older than us as well, though. So maybe it wasn't a thing.
No, it was. I was off playing rugby.
He'd have like a couple of pieces of wood. These were his toys. They weren't even carved into shapes.
Wasn't it a lump of coal you used to have to play with in the street?
Yeah. You used to play with a stick.
Stick and a hoop.
Yeah, and then the stick broke.
So
we had 2 sticks.
Yeah. No, didn't do any of that stuff. Didn't model. I didn't get into it until much later in life.
So was it when you realised that you needed a stress relief?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it was. It was something I needed that was not on a screen or related to it was something to do with painting.
Yeah.
So,
But then it's like with lots of things. I see it and it reminds me of, an innocent childhood or whatever. But I don't buy it. I'm not out buying the the Atari.
Definitely not with stuff like this. There are certain things where I'm like, I really want that.
Yeah,
but for me, it's not that common. No, it really isn't. I'm really not like that very often. So obviously I used to do the medieval stuff, obviously I'm getting back into it, the medieval reenactment, and I look at stuff and I'm like, oh, I never had that when I was doing it before. But I want one, but I want a more accurate version of it. I don't want the thing that I couldn't buy 20 years ago. I want a better version of it now.
That was the 20-year ago quality.
Where the research wasn't there because the internet wasn't as much of a thing, and or the skills, or or just like the information that wasn't there. And I'm the same with most things. Like if I don't care about old consoles. I know there's a lot of people that have like a wall full of like N64s and PlayStation 1s and all that sort of stuff, but it's like, cool. I've got an Xbox One. I've probably got an Xbox 360 somewhere as well. I haven't turned them on or used them. Do you know why I haven't got rid of them? Because they're not worth anything.
Yeah. I've got and PlayStation 3.
Yeah, and it's like, I used to love playing GoldenEye on the N64, but I'm very confident that I would get bored of it after 10 minutes if I tried it now, because it's an awful game in comparison to modern games.
The only time I've enjoyed playing those old games, like now, would be if I'm around someone's house and, we're half cut.
Yeah.
And then we're having fun doing it.
Or you're at like a retro arcade having a mess around.
I'm going to sit down in the evening and
ignore my family and play
ignore my family and play, whatever.
I mean, I've got a weird
Star Fox.
Yeah, I've got a weird relationship to games anyway, because I grew up in an arcade. Mum and Dad, that's what they did. My dad worked in that industry.
Oh, I thought you meant they just left you in an arcade.
No, I was in and around it all the
Here's
time.
a bag of
policeman.
Milkman, I believe I said.
Oh, sorry.
But no,
he policed people's milk consumption.
Retro gaming, like I love playing like 1942 and stuff like that. The old like side-scrolling shooters, that sort of stuff. But yeah, like you said with the N64 and Bond, it was great when it came out, GoldenEye, but it now looks like something someone's whipped up in an afternoon class.
Part of its
like a Minecraft mod
was where you were when you were playing that.
Yes, it was. It's about a time in your life, right?
And you can't recreate it.
No.
And that's the way I see those older, like when they're the old world and stuff like that.
It's because they don't make fuse bars anymore. The nostalgia thing is weird. I don't get it. Like I don't mind looking at this stuff, but I don't want to own it.
Because you're really investing time into building all of it.
Don't you feel like it's I feel like it's the negative side of capitalism in a way.
Kind of, yeah.
Like capitalism isn't necessarily a good thing. I'm not pretending that it's amazing, but it does often encourage advancement in certain areas.
Yeah.
And if you're getting excited about buying something that is 30 years old or whatever,
Like I kind of.
So I'm trying to think, how long ago was I in primary school when the N64 came out?
I'll find out if you know.
Did the N64 come out before or after the Xbox? It was before it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was way before. It was like
the
during
N64
Genesis time.
was like Saturn. Yeah.
Yeah, it was when Sega started dropping off, wasn't it?
Yeah, because that's when Sega were like, actually, do you know what? We're better off making these arcade cabinets. So they're AM2 and AM3 stuff that they had out. It's
1996.
Sega rallies, yeah. Your Sega rallies, your Daytonas.
So I would have been in probably the last year of primary school or start of secondary school.
Yeah, I mean, I finished secondary in '97.
And GoldenEye came out as a release game, I think, and it was brilliant.
Nostalgia things there, right? So if there's like all the games that they're making now that they're remastering. So like
that's different though.
Resident Evil was they've taken the original game, which was great, and they've gone, actually we're going to remake it. And I think in the Microsoft showcase they showed
that's really different. I mean,
they did that with Halo. They did Halo 1 and Halo 2 anniversary editions, and I was disappointed they didn't do Halo 3 because it didn't look as good as Halo 1 and 2 anniversary. Yeah. But I've played through them like once or twice, but the gameplay's the same, and that's what I don't like.
They did the same with the remaster of Gears.
Playing Halo 1 and Halo 2 when you compared to playing, obviously the latest Halo has been a flop, the last few haven't been that great, but the gameplay is so much better, even if the overall feel that the public have isn't as good. But I just can't. I went back and played them, and it's painful because you're like, it's going to take me ages to walk over there because the levels are huge.
Yeah, and it's clunky.
Yeah, I don't miss that side of it.
No.
If they reskinned it and updated the gameplay, I would prefer that.
Yeah,
I do play stuff that's had a reskin, like I said, but I'm not playing it over and over and over.
Yeah, the new Metal Gear Solid that they showed on the Xbox showcase is the same, right? They've taken the old version, they've literally just made it pretty, but apparently it plays very similarly. It looks very similar in regards to the animation styles.
So I know you obviously we're not going to rant about Destiny too much, but what Destiny do is when they bring something back in, it's usually like a reskin, but it's updated to fit the current model. I think that's what companies should do. If you're just going to reskin an old game to get some more money out of it.
I think a really good example of a game where they've taken the original IP and updated it into a newer version is Doom. You look at the original Doom, right, which is a classic. And then you look at
They made a new game.
Doom from 2016, and that was like, that's a really good looking game. And then they did Doom Eternal, which is a great looking game, and then they've got the new one coming out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether any of the things I said I want to do will have happened by the time we record next, on the assumption that we're not recording next week.
Yeah.
But the studio will be ready by the time Bot Action 3 comes out, so we can do day one game reviews.
We did talk in between episodes. We were talking about having a bit more of a rigid structure to the episode, weren't we?
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like we should do that in the future. So as a listener, if you have certain things, a listener, not listeners, there's not more than one.
Yeah.
If there's certain parts of the episode you kind of switch off to, or you don't find as interesting, or you just find it's unnecessarily waffle, let us know. And if there's bits that you love and you think we should do more of, let us know. I don't feel that we should keep doing movie reviews and stuff because it's like a whole episode and it might not interest a lot of people. And it's nothing to do with tabletop. I like talking about it a little bit. I do enjoy talking about it a little bit, unless it's like massively relevant.
It was supposed to be a small segment. Just Rebel Moon became a whole episode. It was supposed to be.
Yeah, we talk
about this for like 15 minutes.
What was good about the Rebel Moon episode is that our podcast was better than the film.
Maybe what if the feedback is we want to hear Dan's political opinion on things?
Right, so with the feedback, if we don't take your feedback into account, please don't be offended. It's just because we don't like it.
Yeah, we didn't think it was very good.
No. Or like, as much as it could be really good, we don't have the capability to talk about it.
We'd like some suggestions, but it's not democracy.
And we would like it to be focused around gaming in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some sort.
Yeah. So we're not going to talk about horseshoes, farming.
No. So is there anything else you wanted to bring up? We talked about Napoleon. You missed that, Dan.
That was the film that I've watched. It wasn't Rebel Moon Part 2.
Oh, it was Napoleon.
Yeah. Maybe you could edit this so it sounds like it all happened at the same time.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
You'll have to listen to the
There you go.
podcast.
I'll take that bit. Yeah, not seen it, and I'll put that in.
Yeah.
And that's what explains why I'm quiet in that whole section.
Yeah.
Because I've not seen it.
Yeah. I will watch Napoleon. I've not seen it. Napoleon Dynamite. Sequel.
I love Napoleon Dynamite. It's a great film.
Right, shall we wrap up there?
Yeah, let's wrap it up then.
There's some nerds coming up to play a game, so it's a good time to stop.
Okay, well, that is the end. So, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.